WB and I'm back with another video. If you're a new subscriber, thank you so much for tuning in, and if you're a regular, thank you for supporting my content. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is. It is Mugo's time. No, like come on. Like I am so happy you guys like please don't mind me, okay? I am literally at my happiest right now, and I will not allow anything to ruin my mood. But anyways, guys, for today's video, I'm going to be talking about I am going to talk about a creepy situation that my mother's best friend once encountered, right? The title of this video is Our House Was Haunted. So back when I was in primary, my mother and I used to visit her best friend a lot, right? I was in between grade 6 and 7, but I was almost going into high school, right? I was almost going to high school because I remember this is like a high school, and her daughter, the one that so I don't know how I can put it. The one that let me just put it like the one she was in high school at that time. I think she's 2 years older than me, right? So yeah, now I was between grade 6 and 7, right? So my mother and auntie, I'm referring to her as auntie because she has been in our lives forever. Like I've literally known her my whole life, and they have been best friends since I was born. You know, they've been best friends since I was born. So my mother and auntie used to host. Like it would either happen that this weekend we would go over auntie's house, ashapedi braai, a pay, or next week here, so go in a bantajalo, and then I like zebali dijo same WhatsApp group. So I couldn't resist. So my aunt Kimuto Oratang who hosted, to be honest, like this whole thing of inviting people over, hanging out, chilling, unwinding, and forgetting about work, children, and all those things. Like it all started with her, right? Like let me say she's a people's person. And she knows how to accommodate people. Like she's very good with that. She's She's friendly. Like she's one friendly being. Oh my gosh. Imagine Obe friendly, Obe pair, like Obe gifted. She's so gifted, you guys. Oh my gosh. So yeah, she's the one that started this whole thing of us coming over at her house, having dinner or lunch or whatsoever, like chilling there, enjoying the moment, like being in the moment, and just unwinding. So obviously I would tag along because I couldn't resist, right? Plus Kimoto Elore has Kimoto Ofana. Every time when we would go over to her house, I always got something back. She would either give me food or money, or she always gave me something, Auntie is a great person. Like she has always been supportive. She's that type of person. Elore, if something were to happen to my mother tomorrow, she would look out for us, like she's friendly, she's accommodative. Wafana. Kore, she's just out there, she's just out there. So it's like I've said, this week we would either go to their house or Bonane Batla or vice versa. Like it would depend. So auntie has 3 daughters, right? The eldest is in her 30s, like I think Mo Usalboma 37, right? She's close to 40 because Muto, right? And then second born, the one Elore, like Hagam Trial. I don't want to say the one that the one that I talk to, because I only see her like once a year or once in 2 years. Like relationship, it has always been like that. Even when we were young, never so close. Let me just put it like that, right? And then the youngest, she's the same age as my sister. So fine, she moved to a new house. One thing about my aunt, she's nomadic. Like literally, she can't stay in one place, right? She's always moving and exchanging houses. Like she literally can't stay in one place, Once you get used to this house of hers, next year say so well, that is why she's nomadic. So they always moved. Excuse, they always moved. Yana, her husband, she's married, by the way, right? The eldest daughter, Yana, she's never around. And then the second born, Lena, she's never around. The one that's always around is the youngest, right? The eldest Udulale, boyfriend high. Second, Lena, I heard that Usadula the boyfriend, and she said that this DC. I'm really looking forward to this because Last time no, actually, I did see her this year. I did see her this year. I think it was around March. Yes, I did see her this year, and we were talking about personal stuff. When she came over with her mother, like, they didn't know that I was around because I don't plan hi get la high, like get la chaksifel. So it so happened that Lebanon Batla and Rabere Chila, Rabere catch up. But she did say that she's gonna come back again. So the eldest daughter was expecting, right? I think that's one of the reasons why they moved to this particular house that I'm going to talk about. Because my aunt Otana and my mother, like they're exactly the same. Like like these big houses, And I understand because what's the point of having a big house? Hey Lori, most of the time you're going to be alone, right? So get a portable house that will suit you. So my aunt Kimutraja, look at the portable houses. Like she doesn't like these big houses. This house, it was big. But then I think that was because like maybe her daughter was expecting. So I think maybe she wanted her to feel free, ask her feel like cramped and all that. Like I think she wanted her to feel at home, because Hasimo to shame Lily didn't put there, Hasimo. So here's the climax. A year later, after her daughter gave birth, it was her grandson's birthday, his first birthday, right? Obviously, I went to the party because I knew there was going to be food, and my aunt can cook. She's a great cook, like that lady can cook. Yeah. So fine, their house has a spare room outside, right? So fine, I was sitting in that room with the other daughter, whereby, and we were catching up and all that, right? So after a few minutes, let's say after about 45 minutes to an hour, because right? Auntie called us inside and she was like, so we got back inside and we did a lot of dishes. Like, yo guys, if there's one thing I hate doing, laundry and dishes. Those are the two things that I hate. But I don't really hate doing the dishes. When I laundry. Like, I can't be the only one who hates doing the laundry, you guys. Like, I hate that. Oh my gosh. So a few days after the party, they went to my aunt's hometown, right? She came back and found her house broken into. So really, my mother relo checked in town, right? Here's the funny part, guys. Her house was broken into, but it was not broken into. I don't know if you guys get me. So let me explain why I am saying that. When we arrived, the police were already there, right? So my aunt was giving a statement. As she was giving a statement, one of the police officers found out that the doors were still locked, right? So imagine, like, common sense. We all know that when thieves break into your house, they don't leave the door locked, right? They leave it wide open for people to see who they were inside. Why would they lock it? So the police officer was like, you go by clean and check if there's anything missing, right? They took nothing. Nix. Like everything was scattered around. Her furniture was scattered around. Like everything was scattered around, but they took nothing. Literally, they took nothing. Funny enough, Kamo's spare room, nothing was scattered. Like everything was in place, right? So now we were asking ourselves questions, Hore, how did these people even get in? Like, how did they even get in if the doors are still locked? And like, what was their motive, right? Like, we're asking ourselves a lot of questions, right? So we put as motto, obviously, okay, there were people inside my house. They took nothing, but my furniture or my house is turned upside down, right? What were they looking for? What were they looking for? So time passed. It was my mother's birthday. She invited over auntie and her husband for a smalling and a gathering, right? So fine. It was now time to go. As like I've said, I'm not gonna let anything ruin my mood. Jesus Christ. Where was I? Oh, it was time for everyone to go back home. And yeah, so time like a kappa. When they got to Auntie's house was broken into again. Again, like history was repeating itself. So the police asked them to like give them space to like investigate and find out exactly what was going on, right? So fine, balawa balahesu during that period. Jiggy jiggy, after a few days, the police came back and said the same thing. There's nothing that shows that there was a break-in, right? Now there was an altercation between them and the police officer because apparently the police officer was her husband's friend. Her husband knew him. It gets worse. One day they were sleeping It was in the early hours, right? They heard a hard knock at the door, and it was a hard one, like not like it was hard. Uaskisi, askisi, pepi, askis. Jesus Christ, like Junior hates it when people knock. As I was saying, the knock was harsh, it was rough. So her husband went and checked Horedinta. There was no one at the door. So this went on for like a week, and it always happened around Boma 2 to 3 in the morning, right? There was someone knocking, but every time when they went and checked, there was no one at the door. So it got worse. Now Auntie Nese Adula Alwana le her husband. I don't know what they fought about, but like obviously, whatever that was happening was creating tension between them. So Auntie's daughter came to visit. She came with her son because akere ne sa dula le mogae. Mind you, Hausa host too, no, which means Hausa na dijo tse mnate. There are no longer free drinks. There's no longer free food. Literally nothing. So Hausa host too, because akere now there's tension between my aunt and her husband. So after a few days, Wanawa, the eldest daughter, Osatoma Nune, and Olala took the child to the doctor. The doctor examined him, and he gave them medication. The child is not getting any better. He's getting worse. Until my aunt's mother aba like, "Ne, kisamwana go higher, Let's deal with this the traditional way, because you've tried everything and haona niksi espana." So baya higher who my aunt's mother. So when they got at my aunt's mother's place, they went to see a traditional healer, right? And the traditional healer told them that there was someone that died in that house, and apparently the family never collected the deceased spirit. So now that person walwan habatle motho in that house. So he gave them herbs and told them gore ba etseng ha ba fihla hae. Lingwana, they took him somewhere, bamu cleanse. Yeah, after cleansing the house, the child, I guess they were following instructions given to them. Things got worse. Now they were no longer hearing a knock, and the child was no longer sick. Jiggy jig, about ready footsteps, go fu. And apparently this would go on for hours, maybe from Boma 2 to 5 or whatsoever. They literally couldn't sleep. So they went back to the traditional healer, this thing was getting worse. I get the traditional healer was based at my aunt's hometown. So now they decided to come back with him, they decided to bring him back with them. He tried cleansing the house himself also and like calling the spirit off, That didn't work. What they did after was that the traditional healer instructed them to find out exactly who lived in that house before them and the history behind everything that was happening, like why is the house haunting us, So he instructed them to find out and what happened, Mind you, when all of this was happening, because I get a. So long story short, they found the owners of the house, and they were in their mid-30s, if I may say, because I only saw them once, and right. Auntie told them what was going on. Lebona, they were kind enough to tell them what was happening in that house and why they moved. So here's what happened. When they were 12, their father came back home drunk. Hafihla, he started cursing their mother, calling her all sorts of names. After that, he took a knife and stabbed her 12 times. 12 times, imagine. Worst, he did all of that in front of them. He did all of that in front of the kids. Ran away and went to their uncle's house, and when they came back, they found their father dead. He hung himself. So Bara, after the funeral, nothing was done to the house. Their uncle put it on the market and they left the place. They went to live with their uncle, who sadly passed away after. So after more, they went back to the house, the twins and the traditional healer. And did other things of which I'm not going to disclose. After that, my aunt and her husband lived in that house for 2 months, if not mistaken, because it wasn't longer than 3 months, right? So let's say 3 months least. Let's say the least 3 months. So they lived there for 3 months, and after that, Bamuva out. Moral of the story is, gosh, moral of the story is when you move into a new place, learn to pray or do whatever, learn to pray or do whatever method works for you, right? Because sometimes you don't know what was happening in that house or apartment or whatsoever. Learn to pray before moving in and after moving in, so that you can at least cast out the bad spirits that were left in that room. Because I get it, you don't know what was happening or what was going on in that room or house before you lived there, right? It might happen that people were getting killed, and it might happen that it was a satanic ritual. It might happen that a lot of things were going on in there, you know. So learn to pray, cleanse it, cleanse the room or house, cleanse the room or house before moving in. Because at the end of the day, if we study it into those, sometimes we beat it, maybe, you know, we beat it, maybe body. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more videos. I will see you in my next video. Bye.